Hello and welcome to From a Basement in Tulsa. I'm Jason Ferguson. Thank you for listening. Welcome to episode 30 with We Make Shapes. I had a lot of fun with these guys coming over and hanging out. Thanks again, Damien and Nathan, for coming and joining us. And thanks, Damien, for sending me some songs. He sent me 2 demos. He wanted them labeled as demos, which I think means they're not available anywhere else. I'm not going to look. I'm just going to count that as a true statement that this is the first place and only place to hear these 2 demos. I'm going to start the episode with one of the songs, and then we'll end it with another song. And thank you so much for listening. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks, We Make Shapes, for coming and hanging out. I'm so excited to hang out with you two. Is Adam still in your band? It says on Facebook that Adam Gann is in your band.
He is a member of our group. He's practiced with us a few times, but we just haven't been able to work drums fully into the say yet.
Well, I like that dude. I approve of him being
he's
in your
amazing.
band, since my opinion totally matters.
It's the most important.
Please introduce yourselves, you guys. Nathan's been here. And fucking last time I told you to introduce yourself, and then I introduced you. I was like, no, I'll do it. So Please.
You want to do it again?
Please introduce yourself, sir.
My name's Nathan Wright.
Yes, and he was here with Sam and Branjay and Nathan Wright. It's on the title of their episode like 6 ago. And I was like, maybe you should come back. And you're here.
And I came back.
Thank you.
It's a miracle.
He said he's in a band with Damien here.
Yeah, my name's Damien Shade. So yeah, we are in a band called We Make Shapes. I sing vocals and play 808 and keyboard and some samples and such. And he plays guitar and bells occasionally.
That's fun. I watched some videos of you guys, and my questions aren't about your music. It's about, are you playing in your underwear, Nathan, on Halloween?
Yeah, for Halloween, my costume was the dance scene in Risky Business. And so his costume wasn't supposed to involve a tuxedo.
No, it's just a suit.
A suit.
Just a suit.
Pardon my lack of manhood knowledge.
Yeah.
No, but I was in stark contrast to his suit, and I wanted an excuse to play on stage in my underwear and still be paid at the end of the night.
Yeah. Looks like you found it.
It worked.
Halloween, I feel, might be the only holiday where that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it on St. Patrick's Day. I'll bet it'll work too.
I will not be at that show.
I had Terry Gamble on my podcast once. I think he's 18 or 19. But anyway, he's episode 18 or 19. He's not 18 or 19. He's with a nudist resort. And he came and talked to me about that because I hadn't talked to a nudist before. And it was awesome to hear.
Was he nude when he spoke to you?
That is a question I have not answered.
Okay.
Like people ask me at work, they're like, was he naked when he was there?
Let it go.
Just...
You weren't looking down. You didn't want to know.
He may have been clothed.
Okay.
It's clothing optional
Okay.
in a nudist resort. And the specific one. And he was talking about how they hire bands. And I was like, man, like, who are going to get to go play naked? You know what I mean? And I was kind of...
I guess it depends on how much they pay.
Yeah, but then he pointed out that you couldn't, even at the nudist resort, you can't perform naked because then that comes into a whole new set of laws. It's like a strip club or anything like that, even at a resort like that. And I was like, yeah, that blows my mind.
But that's like statewide law, right?
Yeah.
There's just nothing they can do about that.
Yeah, that's just the laws of the land, even inside their fences.
It's perverse.
Bitches.
Stopping nudity.
So you guys play nude, which is cool. So you pretty much got pretty close to that law. The bar might have had to like shut you down.
Well, I was actually waiting for somebody to say something, but nobody did. I came fully clothed, and my costume involved taking clothes off. I think the most entertaining part about this was that my dad showed up for the first time ever and saw us. We've been a band for about a year.
How proud is he?
He showed up and he was like, "So, are you in costume?"
Is this every day?
I'm about to go change into my costume. He was like, "What do you?" And I explained it to him, and I went to the bathroom and I took my shoes and my pants off, and that was my costume.
Did you know he was going to be there before you decided?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
but
perfect.
Of course, you're in your tidy whities and your dad shows up.
Yeah.
It's totally what happens.
Also, they weren't. I mean, I had to buy tidy whities because I don't have them. But anyway, he took a bunch of video and just to show my mom. 'Cause she couldn't make it, so
He was just so proud.
I mean, I think he had a really good time.
He seemed excited.
You guys, I did notice you sounded good. I really liked your music, but I also noticed that you weren't wearing pants.
Yeah.
And I wanted to discuss that. I actually wrote it down to make sure I remembered to ask you that.
We like every show to have pros and cons. It's a goal.
The cons were the video wasn't longer. That's the only thing I was worried about.
Okay. I was thinking the pants.
Pros and pros.
Move the guitar, man.
I mean, it did make me a little bit paranoid because I forget that, classic undies have that weird flap.
Oh, yeah.
But I've always wondered what that's for.
I don't know.
I don't want to
I don't either. I mean, I don't know what it's for.
Just kind of antiquated, it seems. Like we have pants that open up easily now.
Underwear.
I don't know. I can't imagine why would that. I'm thinking about it, and I'm talking without thinking, which
It's
sucks.
not easier. It doesn't
I'm like,
make
it doesn't
easier
change
to-
anything.
I love
Yeah.
that you're trying to think of a historical reason
Yeah,
why
like I'm trying-
tidy whities have flaps.
How in the 6,000 years we've been evolving has that?
Is that
I'm sure Wikipedia could help. I'm
is
sure.
that advantageous to
You know
our
what?
grandparents at
This
some
might
point?
freeze my computer, but we'll try it. We'll ask
It was
Wikipedia.
an ancient Greek
I don't
invention.
I don't even know what you'd Google there. Tidy whitey flaps? Does that... Be careful.
I'm sure it'll show up. Why do underwear have holes in the front?
That's the next band name.
The NSA will be monitoring this
Dude, but I've heard
Google.
people selling underwear with like a men's underwear with an extra like pocket inside for your goods. Keeps them safe and dry.
For your illegals?
No, I'm sure you could use
pocket.
I'm sure you could use those. No, for your testicular units.
But that seems like
It really seems unnecessary unless
unless you're old.
well, no, even then, I just don't know why are you not buying underwear that are big enough for your whole junk? Like
any dynamic moving male would know that you have to have them free a little bit. Like
Yeah.
they gotta move.
yeah, I mean, I don't.
Otherwise, you're gonna leg them.
That's weird.
Dudeundies.com says, according to Wikipedia, briefs were given an opening in the front. The point of this opening, the fly, was to make it easier to pee with clothes on. Okay, which is what I thought
So
originally.
for some reason, the motion that it takes to pull your underwear away
I
from
get
your
the
pelvis
sentiment.
was too difficult, so they designed fabric.
I guess it's
It
for
doesn't
people when you wore like overalls or something. I don't
And
know
you still
if you could
wanted
get to
to
your
pee.
underwear. I don't know, man.
Maybe you're supposed to just let it through and leave it that way all day.
Maybe our forefathers were worse at peeing than us. Maybe that's been a thing
That's
in
possible.
the modern era that we've evolved to a place where we can pee much better than them.
When you're in a ridiculous 3-piece suit for your business conference, peeing through a hole sounds a lot more fun than trying to tuck that shirt back in after you're done.
Wow. That was the
Finally.
laziest sentiment I've ever
Damn
heard
answers.
expressed by a
As a sign of
person.
respect, companies still offer this option.
Yeah.
So now we know where your band got your name. We make shapes.
Nice.
That's the first time I've risked Googling something on my computer while I'm
Yeah.
recording because I'm scared my computer's going to freeze the hell up.
See, I'd just be scared. You need to clear that history now. The tidy whitey searches.
Yeah, dude, it's like
And dudeundies.
if you go to dudeundies.com, there's a lot of fairly naked men before you get to the words.
You could just say you were looking for that band, Tidy Whitey Flaps.
I'm not searching that.
Horrible things will come
Listeners,
your way.
please search that while you're at work and let us know how it went.
It's really good honky tonk music.
Wow.
Yeah, man, that started fun.
That's not the style I would have associated with tidy whitey flaps. All right.
We went somewhere weird, and I love that.
It's still in the basement.
Yeah. So, tell me about your music. I think it's labeled as electronic songs on Facebook, which I love that genre, electronic songs.
Yeah. What would you characterize us as, Nathan?
Man, this has been haunting me for a while.
I think we discussed it on your last
Yeah, a little
visit.
bit. I don't know. Like I have a couple of coined phrases that people have some sort of cultural fixation on that will make them say, okay. But,
Yeah.
like I tend to compare it in some ways to modern psychedelia in a way, but we never take drugs before getting on stage, so I don't know. It's got a Pink Floyd-y vibe to it, but also not. It's got a lot of danciness to it sometimes, and sometimes not. Sometimes it's more explosions in the sky or rat-a-tat, and then not.
So it's just a bunch of electronic songs, and it looks fun. Sounds cool.
I mean, I think the description we gave to we had an interview back here a few weeks back with a reporter and was kind of asking us the same question. And the one I've heard over and over again is just like psychedelic electronic rock. So it's like I mean, if you have to call it something, and usually you have to, so people can Google it.
Yeah.
That feels okay.
Psychedelic electronic rock is what I've heard the most repeatedly. People are like, yeah, Nathan's guitar stuff reminds them a lot of like some of the Pink Floyd elements, some of the Gilmore stuff, some of the Radiohead elements, like that kind of thing, a little bit of Sigur Rós, and a lot of the electronic stuff probably bridges between some of the same things that Nathan just mentioned, some elements of Rat-a-tat, some elements of a few little elements of people like Boards of Canada and that kind of stuff that I like. So it's kind of in a strange sort of way, I feel like our music's like an odd combination of Nathan's music taste and my music taste.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, it's like a Venn diagram of us, kind of.
I feel like whenever we're discussing those descriptions, we're totally ignoring the hip hop songs.
Oh, it's true. It's true. And there are some
I was getting
hip-hop
there.
songs.
It's one of the
It's true.
videos, I think maybe No, just one of the videos I watched was hip hop, and it was awesome. It was really cool.
Oh, thank you.
I was doing a little dance because I was by myself. I won't recreate it.
I would have enjoyed seeing that.
Maybe later after the microphones are off, because
Nice.
they'll pick up they'll be able to tell how bad it was by your laughter, and I can't really have that out there on the internet.
Okay, I appreciate that.
But I do enjoy your songs.
Yeah, the hip hop stuff has been kind of a newer development and not something that I kind of didn't anticipate We Make Shapes really at all, but like the hip hop stuff was probably the newest and least expected part of it. I got an 808 from a friend of mine.
Yeah, what is that?
It's a drum machine, basically.
He said the same thing last episode.
It's the first real analog drum machine. The one I have is the newer Roland MC 808, but the TR 808 is what like Kanye West and like Drake. If you hear them mentioning an 808, that's what they're talking about. It's like the first machine. Like Stevie Wonder used it. In the late 70s and early 80s, Africa Bambaataa, early hip hop people, used it for things. And it creates these weird spacey sounds that don't really sound like musical instruments. Like that's the thing that was interesting about it. Like the drum, the 808, the big boom, doesn't sound like a kick drum. It sounds, like space and bass, just being sort of exploded into reverb. And that's where a lot of the early hip hop music came from, and a lot of the early electronic music. David Bowie, played with, one of the TR models that Roland made as well, and like that kind of thing in the late 70s, early 80s. So yeah.
Can you write that down and use that as a lyric? It's like space and bass exploded into the reverb. I'm stuck there. I don't know what you said after that.
Totally.
I was like, that's beautiful. That's a great description.
That's what the 808 sounds like. And in the process of just experimenting with it and playing around, a friend of mine just needed some extra money and was getting rid of it. And I was like, dude, you're getting rid of this thing for way below. Like, worst case scenario, I was going to resell it on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, if I played with it and didn't like it, I could have sold it for probably 4 times what I paid for it. And I started working on it, making songs. Like, some of them were like ambient electronic stuff and little beats. And then eventually there was a point where someone, I can't remember who it was, I think it was one of the members of Gardant, actually said to me, it was like, man, a lot of your beats sound like hip hop beats. And I think maybe Nathan had probably mentioned it too. And I was
Every practice.
He's like, man, these beats kind of sound like hip hop beats. And I was like, you're kind of right. And so I started like paying attention to them. And the only music I ever did when I was younger, like back in high school days and stuff, was hip hop. Like I was kind of a DJ, a really shitty DJ, or a really crappy DJ. Sorry.
No, you can say shitty. It's cool. Shitty.
Nice. I was a really bad DJ for a little while in high school, and I rapped all the time. But that was the only music I did for a long, long time. And then I just stopped at a certain point.
Is that something you have to specifically practice?
Like rapping?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I hated that question after I asked it.
Yeah. Rapping is one of those things, man. It's like, it's funny. We don't think of it like singing. Obviously because, there's not the same kind of vocalization, but there really are. Like, now that I've started doing it again, I've had to become really self-conscious, like about the process, about like what parts of my voice I use, about how I control my breath. Like, people don't think about it at all because they just listen to rap music, and most people aren't really paying attention to the lyrics or paying attention deeply to the cadences that people are using. But good rappers, not to say that I am a good rapper by any measure yet, but really good rappers spend so much time and so much effort, like crafting every verse, like crafting every moment. And there comes a point where what they're doing is an instrument.
That's
just like a guitar
is
an instrument or a piano. So.
I felt so silly after I asked that question. I was like, did I have to practice singing? Duh. Did I have to practice? Did I practice the guitar? No, but should have I practiced the guitar? Yes. And then I was thinking about how bad I am at using words, especially into this microphone. Like, I have to think about it hard because I drink too much coffee and then I just get going and say 4 words at the same time. And so I can imagine it's a lot of practicing.
It's a discipline, man. I've made myself, now that we've started playing hip hop stuff, I generally try and freestyle and just work on verses at least 30 or 40 minutes a day, every day. So, along with other music stuff I'm working on.
I rap every day too.
It's beautiful.
I'm just kidding. I don't do that. I did go through a phase where I wanted to, and I picked up a lot of instrumental hip hop stuff. Like it was whenever No Such Thing's new record came out, and I would just put it on repeat and just try to freestyle, and it was bad.
Dude, freestyling is
bad.
a good exercise. I feel for everybody to do, because one, it'll teach you immediately like a little more respect for hip hop than you probably already have. And then two, it's just a cool way to like make your mind work in a way that it never does. It's like a part of your brain that never that's what I felt like rapping again. I'm like, man, this part of my brain's been dead for like a decade. Like, how in the world is it like moving again? It's crazy. It's a really interesting, it's a weird experience.
I did notice something though. Whenever it really, what made it flow the best for me was sort of like the way you think of classical, I guess straight hip hop rap, and that's in the battle sense. Like it's really easy to rhyme and really easy to get your words out when you're just pissed at someone or something. You can just let them have it. But unfortunately, if I actually had something like pleasant to say, it was just like, oh, well, I'm
like, why am I saying this
I'm
in rap form?
I'm happy enough. I don't really have to spit anything.
It's true, man. I mean, that's where hip hop comes from. It comes from a culture of people who, they weren't necessarily just angry in the beginning, but a culture of people who kind of felt like they had nothing. And sort of, in the poorest parts of Brooklyn and the poorest parts of the Bronx and the poorest parts of Queens, like these were people who couldn't afford dance lessons. So that, they put some cardboard down and started breakdancing. They couldn't afford instruments, but they had their parents' old dirty turntables, and some crappy James Brown records. And they couldn't afford singing lessons, but they had a microphone and all these people were at a party dancing. And it kind of started with that desperate kind of hunger to be able to create something that was yours.
That's you take that back about James Brown. Take it back.
I love James Brown, but I'm saying the records.
The records are great.
I remember, dude, I had my mom's crappy James Brown records that I messed up a bunch of times because I tried to learn how to cut. Like they were records that she hadn't listened to since like 1978, and I pulled it out and I made it scratched all up, and I scratched it up even worse because I wanted to be cool. Like I was like so desperate to try and figure out how to make cool break beats like Terminator X. And like Mixmaster Mike and like the old school, the old Rakim DJs, and like I wanted to sound like them so much. I remember just destroying my mom's records, man. She would punch me in the face. Like if she had any idea how many of her old records I destroyed.
I like how excited you got telling that story.
It's true though.
I'm trying to think of things I destroyed. I think it was just probably just like speakers. I want to take them apart and see how they worked. I'm like, I'll go back together. No, never did, ever.
Thought of a good logo for merchandise. We Make Shapes. It's just your mom just nailing you in the face.
This is a good back to where it all started.
Yep, it's the truth, man. I messed up so many of her records.
When are you guys hitting the studio? Do you know yet? Is that in the near future?
Hopefully sometime very, very soon. I'd like to...
Can you have me a release song by next week?
Nice. I could probably send you some tracks by next week of some stuff. Because we have some moderately decent demos right now that we could do. And we have a few little pieces of things. What we're working on right now, first is just kind of getting together a little EP. Of different songs that we've been working on. Like the first 5 or 6 songs that we have are put together in a little bit of a narrative EP, which was the first idea that we had. So hopefully we can get into that. I'd like to in the next couple months.
That'd be awesome.
We should start. We have enough material for about 4 records right now.
Yeah, we have a crazy amount of material. It's kind of insane.
When you guys are playing, are you throwing all those styles in each specific song? Or is it more one style of a song, when you go into the next song, it's more of Nathan's style, or is it just combined? Is that a weird question?
Depends.
Yeah, it really depends from show to show. Like when we played that Fassler show at Halloween, the last one of our big goals was just to try and play a show that had some of all of our various energies, but that was really up tempo. At the end of the show, we wanted everybody to be drunk and dancing and like losing their minds, which they were.
It's Halloween. I feel like that's a good time.
Yeah, it's Halloween. So it's, my goal has been for us to be able to play a party show, but I'd really like to play, we actually have a show coming up in December, December 21st, winter solstice at Chimera, which I'm hoping will be a really quiet show, where we do some like ambient electronic stuff, use acoustic instruments a little bit. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. So I'd like to be able to like do a lot, not just be stuck in one space.
Why does December 21st ring a bell in my memory? Was that when the world was supposed to end? Was that the 21st of December a couple years ago?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. The crazy pastor from California. I felt so bad for those people, man. They sold all their houses and they lost all their stuff. And like, it's craziness. Crazy Christian cults, man.
I was reading a little bit about the Church of Scientology, and I'm just fascinated that that's still a thing. How, like, you...
Dude, I have mad respect for the Church of Scientology. Think about...
They made it work.
They have done what every organized religion has tried to do for all eternity. Get customers who pay you for heaven.
Yeah.
And they totally pay. Tom Cruise pays. Like, the richest actors in, like, Beck is a Scientologist. Like, his parents were Scientologists. Yeah.
No.
Dude.
You can look on YouTube, and they have a book. Actually, Shooter Jennings talked about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. And I was like, there's no way this is exciting. But it's called Dianetics. And they made a crazy, like, really good audiobook of what they believe.
Oh,
and I got like 4 hours in, and then I got lost. But now that I'm thinking about it, I want to go back. And it's just a bunch of weird stuff. But it's like, this is science. We're Scientology. This is science. And it's
Have you ever listened to the Beck album, The Information?
Negative.
It's the album. Okay, so Guero was great. Everybody remembers Guero, and everybody remembers Modern Guilt. Between Guero and Modern Guilt, he put out a Scientologist, basically propaganda album that is some of the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. And you can't listen to it much, but like one time... when I was in an undisclosed place on an undisclosed substance.
So you were here.
With some friends. We listened to the whole thing.
Oh, no.
And I mean, it's just, there were moments where I was like, I feel like somebody had like Beck on drugs and gunpoint to do this. Because at the end, he reads and talks for like 13 minutes, and it's so insane about the lizards that are the reptiles that are going to come and like take our souls from Xenu.
That's part of Scientology? I gotta listen to the rest of that book. I gotta get into that stuff.
You really ought to just watch the South Park episode.
That'll explain everything. Yeah,
it's true.
It's pretty spot on.
That South Park episode's beautiful.
What led us to that? Oh, I was talking about how like I'm just amazed that they're imprisoned. Like first of all, you get imprisoned financially for sure because you give them all your money, and then I guess you sign a contract or whatever that if you leave, you owe them hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And they'll sue the hell out of you, man.
So
it's
like
crazy.
That's insane to me that's real. I can't wait to join.
I would say the only thing I want from Scientology is their business model. I want to figure out how to replicate it. I want to figure out how to go to LA and get the richest actors in the world to give me thousands of dollars to fuck up their lives.
Do you think we could get We Make Shapesists to follow us?
Probably, but we need to we need to find a way to get some really bad science fiction novels associated with it. Like that's where it started. Like L. Ron Hubbard was a failed sci-fi writer / like pedophile, which is crazy.
I haven't heard much about the pedophile part.
Yeah. But all that said, somehow in the process of his really, really bad fiction, he was able to manipulate people into believing it was a religion.
So can we still call him a failed science fiction writer?
Touche.
Maybe he's the most successful
could be
fiction writer ever.
You might be right. Perhaps he's the most successful science fiction writer of all time.
We got a lot to compete with.
That's amazing.
I one time made a joke about starting a cult on Facebook with some friends, and then I started looking into it about how like
friends.
They're not friends anymore. They're deacons. But I like jokingly looked into how to start a cult, and there's articles on how to do it, and I was like, oh shit, this is too weird. Like,
Yeah.
I can't be putting these ideas in my head because I'm dumb enough to try it. Like,
You could make so much money as
It's very
long as you
possible.
don't drink the Kool-Aid too.
Man.
It's a self-starting business model. Like,
Yeah, Walmart did it.
it's great. It's true. I'm convinced Chick-fil-A has started a cult because like somehow they get everyone to say the same thing when you go through the line. It's really crazy. Has anybody else noticed this?
Wait,
They
what?
always say like if they give you some mustard or something or some like Chick-fil-A sauce, you're like, oh, thanks for that. My pleasure.
I think they
Yeah,
just
they
hook
all
it's a
up.
say-
requirement.
They hook up to the Chick-fil-A hive mind.
It's so creepy. Because I worked fast food when I was in high school, and I would say the most obnoxious, like inappropriate things over
Yeah,
the headphones.
me too.
Like I was that guy.
I didn't have headphones, but I was such a smart kid when I worked at Pizza Hut. I put, like, somebody gave me a label maker to do some things, and I just kept making stickers. And I think my favorite one is I put 5-second rule strongly enforced on the front door with the label maker. And it lasted, like, not very long before they were like, Jason, I think I put a note outside. This was a stolen idea, but I still did it. That said, if you sang the person at the window happy birthday, you got a free drink. And then I read that somewhere, and I was like, yeah, that sounds funny, but it didn't work, because it's not that funny.
Nobody did it.
The first person that asked about it was like, is that sign real? That's when they knew the sign was there. So
You just needed to make another label that says, "If you have to ask, you don't get
You
it."
don't.
anymore.
yeah, I
Yeah.
should have really
You got
pressed
to
harder.
plan out your really stupid teenage ideas.
Yeah, but that's one of my greatest life achievements, I think, is putting that 5-second rule thing on the door.
It's nice.
I peaked back then.
You should have turned it into a cult.
It's true.
I hadn't that thought.
You had an opportunity. Your
hadn't
foot was in
thought
the
that
door,
far
man.
ahead. Yeah, so you guys are electronic songs cult space band.
It's true.
I like space music. That's
I've
a
heard
good
people
genre.
say that as well. Space. I just don't know what that means. But, I
But
mean, I
that's
like
the thing.
sound
It
of
just you just get imagery.
It doesn't
Like,
have to mean anything.
It's puzzles. If you,
puzzles.
if you have
Why is it called puzzles?
space music, I can't even. I already forgot.
Yeah,
the
the
lyric.
only thing I think about that is just I just start thinking about David Bowie. Like when I hear space
Yeah, but
music,
it's-
that's all I think.
I don't know. Like whenever I think about it, I just think we don't know what's out there.
I mean, we kind of know what's out there. I like
We know
little
some
bit.
stuff
We're
about
knowing
what's out
quite a
there.
bit. That's
we know
pretty
a
insane.
lot.
I get anxious when I watch stuff like Cosmos. You
I
guys watch
love
that
that
TV
show.
show?
It's
When he's
awesome.
like, we're all made of stardust. And I'm like, oh no. Like, I don't know why. It should be amazing. I'm like, oh, this is too much. I have to like,
Oh, it freaks you out.
yeah, it's just like, I'm so
I
small.
like it.
I'm
I
into
don't
that
mind
stuff.
I don't mind being infinitesimal. Doesn't change much.
I don't mind not knowing what that word means.
Nice.
I'll think about it for a little while and get it.
You'll get it.
I had some poets on, and he used the word oratorical, and I was like, that's a really great word. Like,
Yeah, it stumps me.
yeah, it's just performing. I don't know what it means.
What?
So-
It's a good word.
Or
It's just it's performing. I don't want to say performing orally because that's just too far. But it's using words is maybe a
Performing-
good.
it's a type of communication or expression that's orally.
Oratorically.
Yes,
As a,
it's performing orally.
Performing oratorically.
nice. As opposed to musical or
Yes.
other forms of
See,
communication.
don't make me think bad stuff, Nathan. Just because you're in your underwear on stage.
Bat stuff.
I could have said bad stuff, but I said bad,
It's true.
which is another proof that I'm bad at using words.
Bat.
I think you might be more oratorical than you think.
Excellent.
Okay, so whenever we're editing this, you should
Yeah.
just bleep it every time we say oratorical to see what people think.
I can't. I'm not good at bleeping. I tried to do it, but it's like I have to make a space and add the bleep. I don't know. It was weird. I ended up just cutting the words out.
that's
I
true.
could just cut the words out because I added a phone call in one episode. I think the Nick knows. I got a weird like voicemail from somebody calling the wrong number, and they're in prison and they're trying to reach their. They're like trying to reach.
Hopefully not their lawyer.
No.
Okay.
They're trying to reach like their family. And it was like, and then it ended in such a creepy way. He's like, yeah, so I got arrested and I cut out all the names when I released it on the episode. I cut out who there's like, hey, this is so-and-so I'm trying to reach. He's like, I'm getting booked in and, just keep my wallet with you, keep my phone and all this weird stuff. It's like, I got a $10,000 bail, so it's like a $1,000 bond or something. I don't know what those words, I don't know how that shit works.
Yeah.
But then he's like, you tell that woman that she's got some bad karma coming her way. And I was like, whoa, yeah, is that a threat? That's kind of a threat.
Dude, you caught the death threat on the radio.
Yeah. And then I was like checking to make sure it's legal that I release it. And I never found any information, so I just released it. Because if it's not explicitly said it's illegal, then it's illegal. Then it's
legal.
God, man, then it's legal.
It's true.
Good grief. Those words.
Good
I'm
and
leaving
grief
all of that
going
in.
together.
I'm adding all of that in. It's not getting edited out, just so people can know that I'm an excellent rapper.
Bad grief.
Nice.
Bad grief. Bat grief?
Bad grief.
Bat grief.
You guys.
We're kind of dorks.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are here. I've been excited since I found out from him on this podcast that you guys were in a band together. And I was like, oh shit.
Nice.
This is exciting. Where did we meet, Damon? I think we were playing a
It's
gig
been
together.
A long time.
time.
I feel like we might have met with Ryan Rockwell from Steven Speaks.
Yes.
Like a long time
Could have
ago.
been. It could also
That's
have
what
been.
I feel like.
Could also have been Gypsy. Did you ever play at Gypsy?
Oh,
I feel like
I mean, a long, long time ago, maybe.
It could have been.
I mean, like the president was still white ago. like the president was a white person ago.
so a few years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember us playing music together, and you sang some songs, and I was like, "Holy shit, that is the most incredible voice I think I've heard." Just so much power. I like your voice.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I played. The Gypsy used to have like an open mic night.
They still do it.
I don't know if they still do.
7,000 nights, Tuesday nights in a row.
Okay. Well, cool. It's like the longest running open mic night in Tulsa.
It was the longest running open mic in Tulsa, like 6 years ago.
Oh,
so it's just keeping it up.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think I played that, and that was probably the last time I played there. So, man, if that was the case, gosh, you were probably just getting out of high school, right?
Probably not.
Nah.
How old are you, sir?
Older.
All right, could have been. Well, I don't think it was that long ago. I think it was more. It could have been anything, man. I was playing gigs like 6 nights a week.
Oh, okay,
so
you were just playing all the time.
It could have been literally 70% of the bars in Tulsa.
Nice. That's awesome.
Where else do you like to play?
Oh,
let's talk about Chimera. I've never heard.
well, you know, Chimera Coffee Shop.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't have a lot of shows. They're not. It's not a place where they regularly do music, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to book it for a winter solstice show. Plus, it's just a beautiful place. If you've ever been in there,
Yeah.
Jack and Rob, the owners, have made like a really, really wonderful setup. Both of like awesome foods and just a really like beautiful decor. It looks like something that you would expect to see in New York or LA, but it's awesome that it's in downtown Tulsa. Just, a few blocks away from Kane's Ballroom. It's just a few blocks away from Kane's Ballroom. So it's one of those things that it's beautiful that we actually have access to something that cool.
It's really, the
Tulsa.
food's good.
Yeah.
They have such good food.
Man, they always
Amazing
have,
food.
they always have water. This is silly, but they
They
always
got
have like
spa water.
like fruit floating in there, and it's just
Yeah.
delicious. And
It's water that makes me feel more special than I am.
you guys are playing there acoustically the 21st of December.
I mean, it's not going to be a completely acoustic show, obviously,
Acoustic.
because
It's
we're
gonna
an
be spacey.
electronic band. But it'll be really spacey, really ambient
There will
stuff.
be
We're gonna
less
do some,
dancing.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot of the light stuff that we've been playing around with, like at Fassler. Our friend Justin, I don't know if you saw that large rectangular. Kind of looked like a television monitor that was in front of my table where my instruments were. It's called a pixel monitor. He kind of invented it, that particular type of them, but it's LCD. It's using like LED lights, in the format of like a monitor screen. And it actually responds to different kinds of audio, or there's a software program where you can program it to have light changes on the basis of like all of these crazy algorithms. It's beautiful.
it sounds a lot like something you'd expect to see with a space music band.
Totally a space music band thing.
we just need a spaceship.
We do just need a spaceship.
I remember the date that I said, December 21st. It was when the world was supposed to end in 2012. We're still alive. I
crazy.
played some weird world ending gig and got real drunk because we're all dying.
That's right, because the Aztec calendar was supposed to end that
Yep.
day.
Mayan.
Or the Mayan calendar, yeah, was supposed to end that day. That's right.
Yeah, Aztec calendar ends next year.
Next year.
So
The only
we'll
live
have to live
music-
through that.
It's funny. I've heard no panic, like what the Mayans are capable of predicting the apocalypse, but the Aztecs aren't. It's kind of racist.
I'm just happy that I have another year, man.
Nice.
The only time I've seen music I saw music outside of Chimera, and it was kind of a cool thing that I tell the story of. It was my birthday. I had like a get together at the Hunt Club because that's where I live, and then like I wasn't even playing. I was just there watching my friends or something, and then I ditched that because somebody texted me that the lead singer of Switchfoot was heading over to play an acoustic set outside of Chimera, and I was like, I can walk 2 blocks to watch dude play some songs.
Like
And it was
he
awesome.
just randomly played outside.
Well, his band played at Brady, and then he was like,
okay.
he tweeted, I'm gonna go to this coffee house.
He's
and
like,
play
peace
some
out,
songs."
dudes. I'm not done switch footing.
Yeah, I'm the ghost. I'm not even gonna try to
I
expand
don't exactly
on that
know
joke.
what their music sounds like, but I know people who like them.
Yeah, I used to love them. Not so much. I don't know why. Just kind of drifted away from the Switchfoot scene. But it was cool that he came to play at
Yeah,
Chimera
that's awesome, man.
for my birthday. That's what I assumed. It was because he knew that I was celebrating my birthday.
Happy birthday.
You guys want to hear a story I probably shouldn't tell?
Do it.
Yeah.
My brother is an officer of the law, and he came to the Hunt Club for my birthday, which was exciting. And somebody jokingly brought me a cake with a marijuana leaf on it. He's like, thought that'd be funny, which kind of is because I can't because of my job. So not that I wouldn't, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my brother was like really worried. He's like, "Is there weed in that cake?" Like he asked me like strongly, "Is there marijuana in that cake right there?" And I was like, "No, it's just icing." And then maybe that wasn't as funny as I expected.
Nice.
It was an odd thing to experience.
But was he just, I mean, he didn't seem like he was worried about arresting anybody. He just didn't want to get high, right?
Yeah.
No, the cake was only for me. It was like a little personal cake. So
Crazy.
yeah.
And there wasn't actually weed in it.
No, there wasn't. It was from Reese's. I'm sure
Okay,
somebody at Reese's was like, I'm drawing a marijuana leaf on a cake.
Nice.
I love my job.
That's awesome.
Not illegal.
Yeah. I'm like, 3 more states just basically
Yeah.
legalized it.
Marijuana icing cakes were decriminalized like 5 years ago. So.
Yeah,
That's
for
true.
sure. You mix enough sugar, it's fine. I have a retired police officer that works with me. And like, I guess Tulsa World wrote an article about electronic e-cigarette marijuana machines. And he was like, is that one of those? Talking about my e-cigarette. I was like, no. I didn't want to explain how different. I didn't want to show any knowledge on how different those are.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know if you could smoke marijuana out of that thing.
They have oils that you can use and different coils.
Like vape it.
Yeah, which is cool. Some guys get to. For a while, people were sneaking around bars, smoking weed, getting high off their e-cigarettes. But I think cops have like a test strip now, so it's bullshit.
In case they manage to, see you with it out of your pocket.
Well, you can smell it, I'm sure.
I don't know if you can.
Not really.
I feel like I've seen people,
I mean, I don't know anything about
I've
that.
seen people with those and saying like, I'm super high right now. And I'm like, really? Wow. Like,
Good for you.
It's very strange. Because, I don't think, I think if you vaporize it, I don't think it makes the same smell.
I disagree.
So, all right.
I think I've smelled it.
You,
Maybe
you know,
theirs.
you know more about it than we do.
Maybe theirs specifically wanted it to smell like it. That could be a thing.
Maybe they like the smell.
We make shapes as drug free.
Yeah. We believe in a world where everyone just gets high on life.
Our drug is space music.
Yeah.
Space music and life.
If you've been to space,
That's
you don't
all
need to get high.
Yeah, it's true. Amen to that.
I actually I didn't read the article, but saw a really great
Read it.
headline.
I love that. Let's talk 20 minutes about
Well,
it.
I mean, about it was, and it's interesting, and I have taken an interest in like the psychology of astronauts, and I have listened to a couple of good podcasts interviewing astronauts, and
That sounds cool as shit.
it's interesting that there are apparently emotional experiences that you only understand as an astronaut, like emotions that you can't feel until you've been off of Earth, and that makes me really, really curious.
Yeah.
So
We just got to be billionaires so we can like get
Just
in
sign
the
up.
Get up there.
get in the private space. Don't get in the one guys though that
think-
crashed last week.
Sucks.
his company's done. Like
Yeah, the
I feel like
stocks.
if you have the crashes of the private space, like the private NASA's, it doesn't go down like when NASA makes a mistake. Like the
Yeah.
Senate just
you're underestimating how people feel about space, though.
Okay.
The thing about the Mars One mission, Okay, you know about the Mars 1 mission?
Yeah.
Mars 1 mission is to send... There's no schematics for the vehicle to do it. There's no schematics for what they're going to do once they get to Mars, but it is to send the first colony of humans to Mars, never to return to Earth again. And they've asked for volunteers. And do you know how many signatures they've gotten?
I actually haven't
Hundreds
heard
of
the
thousands.
list.
I'm sure.
200,000 signatures. People that are willing to go to Mars and never come back.
I'm like, how shitty does that make Earth sound? Like, if I'm an alien.
I mean, people are just excited about that stuff. And, like,
Oh, you're such a more optimistic person than me. This is totally like a perfect glass half empty, glass full analogy.
Well, I mean, my biggest
Beautiful.
curiosity, though, is why we're so obsessed with space travel when we know very little about our oceans.
Oh, that's true.
Like, why are we worried about overpopulation? Shouldn't we be, like, learning how to make artificial islands or how to
Dude, they're doing that.
Remember
Well, like
Sequest?
in Dubai and stuff?
No,
like,
I heard a pretty excellent. Actually, I didn't listen to all of it because the guy annoyed the shit out of me. I listened to his idea and then quit listening. But there was a guy that was he's invested in building like sea living, and it looks cool. But I was bored with the podcast. But you may look it up.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know his name or anything else about him, but you can look up sea living.
I play a couple
Seasteading.
shows
It's called
in the
seasteading.
ocean.
That's what it is. Seasteading. That seems real.
yeah.
That's a good
Wait,
word.
what's it called?
Seasteading.
I don't know what that
Steading?
means.
Yeah, let's look it up. I'm using Google like all day now because my computer hasn't frozen.
Google's been using you all day.
Nice. To seastead. Yeah, that's an expression I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, I think
Does
that's
anybody
real.
else remember that show? See, you're too young, Nathan.
His name is Joe Quirk. It's seasteading. Look it up.
Do you remember that show Sequest?
Negative.
From oh man,
I said negative twice now.
Horrible.
That's the last time. 3 times.
It's a
Shit.
terrible, terrible show, but it was really fun to watch. About the first real like sea, whatever the sea version of astronauts is, like sea explorers. They went down like deeper than anyone had ever gone and found all these like other humans and craziness. Had adventures under the ocean.
Yeah, I
sounds
saw
pretty
that.
awesome.
I saw that documentary.
Nice. It's the volume of the Earth series that they don't want you to see. In the 16 volume set. It's
Yeah,
volume
it
17.
comes right before the Area 51
Like, wait a second.
episode.
What part of Earth is this?
I'm so lost. You guys seem to be enjoying yourselves. What's the TV show? We could just watch an episode.
Sequest. You can see it on Netflix. I don't suggest you watch more than the pilot.
Yeah.
Because it's really horrible.
Have you tried
like
to go
Saved
back-
by the Bell, the college years.
Oh, wow.
Horrible.
Have you tried to go back and watch something you loved a long time ago? Like, I remember freaking out about dinosaurs being on Netflix.
man, me
I was like,
too.
I'm going to watch all of it right now. 3 minutes. This is horseshit.
It's the worst show, maybe.
This is really bad. I just wanted to hear him say "not the mama" one time, and I was done.
And then that's exactly what happened to me. Did you ever watch Dinosaurs? That horrible, horrible television show.
I watched Land Before Time.
Oh, I still
that's
love that.
that's how little I was.
Yeah, Land Before Time was fun.
Talk about continuing on too far. Like
It's true.
Land Before Time 6 really, really blows.
Yeah.
But the first one's good. I think so. I think there's like 200
The
of them.
fact that there's little kids now, like I know small children who are like Land Before Time.
I mean, what do you
Yeah.
expect? There's a
That's-
Kids Bop
that's
25.
amazing.
Like, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Is
I'm,
there-
I'm okay with it. I'm just saying the fact that it still exists now tells like how intense the Land Before Time series is.
I'm just glad AOL stopped. They were getting too high up there in the numbers.
Yeah, that's horrifying. You
Scary.
got mail. That was
Man,
a thing.
making me
once.
feel old. Yeah.
I know.
Watched a video of the guy that did that voice. It was some guy with a camera was just like, "Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is?" And they're bothering this guy. We know who you. Can you say it? Can you say it?
No way. I can't imagine getting recognized
Yeah,
for that.
he was just a random guy. He was like, in the same room as the programmers, and they just kind of asked him to do it. You've got mail.
He was
And
closest to the microphone.
He was planted in history.
Now he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean, he was just working on the stage crew for some show.
That's awesome. Dude, they're going to mention that guy when he dies on NPR. It'll be a thing. Like the
Yeah.
NPR will be like, today, the You Got Mail guy, whatever his name is, he died at
and
age
we will be
73.
sad.
We'll be sad for like 10
I know.
minutes.
I'll
And
be
then
a
we'll
little
check
sad.
our email in remembrance.
I'm sorry, what's email?
Are you excited for stuff to get crazier and like more tech wise? Are you excited for it to be in your brain, or how do you feel about that?
I'll let Nathan start with this because he's much
thank
more
you.
of a technophile than me.
I talked about
Yeah, okay. The thing that's approaching most readily and quickly is the Internet of Things. Sort of like your thermostat is connected to the internet and sending information about you, calling home. And it's really cool. These things are convenient. We're, trying to pass legislation. It has passed in certain places for self-driving cars. And the stuff, it sounds great. But the problem is that there are always people that want to write viruses for that stuff. Can you imagine getting in your self-driving car and your car is transmitted a virus that makes it speed up to 70 miles an hour and wreck into a wall? And then whose responsibility is that?
Crazy, man.
And even just simple little things like somebody writes a virus for your thermostat. When you leave, you come home and your house is like 98 degrees. And yeah, it's not like life ending, but
I mean,
What if you come home and it's playing 98 degrees?
that is life
Yeah.
ending. That would end my life.
I mean, or your refrigerator gets turned off. Just people just trying to wreck stuff.
Yeah.
And we're in an age too where, kids are learning to code really well. And, you get these people in their teenage years and they just want to wreck
bored.
stuff,
Yeah. I was really into jailbreaking iPhones, which I don't know if you know what that is. It's just taking off Apple's restrictions. And I actually started learning to make apps, and I got as far as making an app where I took a picture of a coworker and I could put the app on your phone and you could hit him with a baseball bat. And that's as far as I got, because I started looking at the people that are programming and how much goes into it, and they're like 12 and they're amazing at it. So, I missed that one. That one's just not going to happen for me. I'm never going to catch up. That's just not a thing my brain's going to be able to do.
It's true.
Yeah, but it's insane, and then it becomes more important whenever you think about we're using technology to try and make life in the medical field easier. I can't imagine all the people that are going to be hooked up to pacemakers that have to send a signal home, and what can happen to those? It freaks me out. Life support systems, entire hospitals run on a network that can be breached.
Are nuclear weapons, are they on the internet? Is there access to them?
Oh,
from the
no.
internet? Can you imagine?
No, that's horrifying.
I mean, they're going to be one day if that's true.
No. I don't imagine that, but we won't need anything that sophisticated to kill ourselves. Like, like we'll be long dead before anybody thinks about like hooking a wireless node up to a nuke. Like, we'll never
I'm just worried.
You're the one with the glass half full now.
just because I believe in oblivion, I'm certain of our destruction before we get smart enough to kill ourselves more complicated way.
Yeah, I get really excited. Now I'm kind of nervous about those things, but I still want it to
There's
happen.
a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, like I had some law things happened the past couple days. Somebody contacting me, and I could look up my rights and what to do immediately. And I was thinking about if that had happened 10 years ago, I would have not known what to do at all, because I'm not going to the library. I'm just going to see what happens. So it's really, really cool. Like a real, like the most recent experience where I'm just really appreciating having information right through the Google. That I want it to be attached to my head automatically. That's what I'm looking forward to.
You want that?
Shit, yeah, what do I got to lose?
I mean, freedom, autonomy, soul, self, cogito.
That's a big word, Damien. It's a big word.
Wait, which one?
Yeah, that is a thing.
There's a lot of things to lose. The thing that freaks me out, I think, the most about technology is just thinking about the world in 1914. Like, I think about the world in 1914 when there weren't cars, like, substantially. Like, aeronautics was not a field that existed. No one had any concept of anything like a nuclear bomb, GPS, satellites. Like, the geopolitical situation of the world. Like, the biggest political problems in the world were the looming of World War I and the end of the Ottoman Empire. Like, these were the two big things in 1914. And there are still human beings, like, alive who were alive in the decade of 1914. And I don't, like, what the heck must that be like?
Yeah.
To have lived in a world where there were people alive, like your dad, if you were an American, probably fought in the Civil War and had slaves if he was in the South. And you've gone from that universe to a world where a man named Barack Obama is president of the United States in 2014. And I can talk to anybody in the world with a device that's actually smaller than my palm. Like, that's a thing.
But they're getting bigger, so.
But think about, but think about, like, that was 1914, right? It's 2014. what's it going to be like in 2114?
Yeah.
Like, if the world changes as much between 2014 and 2114 as it did between 1914
It'll
and
change
2000
more.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
People are saying
that's even more horrifying. Because if I think how ill-equipped any human being was in 1914 to even begin to imagine the changes of the next century, it horrifies me to think that I am that ill-equipped to imagine the changes of the future. Like, that's the most terrifying thing to me.
Well, and we've got a lot of people that they look at, quote unquote, old people, and you say, how could they, not understand this or that, or how could they not be okay with gays getting married, or all these other things? Man, we're gonna see stuff that offends us.
Oh, yeah,
like we're gonna
totally.
see people getting surgeries to be half machine, and it's
Right.
gonna offend us.
Yeah.
I saw a thread on Reddit where people were talking about what the future
The
things
future of
to
human-
worry about.
the future of human
like
rights.
just looking in and see what they could think of, and they're like, and when we're old, we might be thinking, you know what, robots shouldn't be able to get married. Like, that's gonna be a thing probably. And I was like, you're damn right they can. What's next?
God didn't say Adam and Blender. That's not in my Bible.
Next thing you know, they're gonna marry humans. No robots marrying my daughter.
Oh my gosh, my daughter brings home a robot. There's one that
Yeah,
I
man.
never thought of
Freak
before.
you out.
Guess who's coming to dinner? Like, that's,
Bleep bleep bleep.
like, are you really serious? Daddy, I love them. Like them.
And it'd all be inspired from a We Make Shapes song.
Oh my god, we're killing the future.
We're making the future.
I don't care enough to stop.
Their thought is gonna be like bass and space exploding into the reverberation.
Into the reverb, man. That's the future. Bass and space exploding into the reverb.
What if the only language in the future is bass?
I mean, I would be okay with that. That's one of the changes I'd
You
be cool
wouldn't
with.
be able to speak it.
I dig bass.
Here's something to think about, to imagine if our eyesight could see like all of the radio waves and like the microwaves and everything that's going around us all the time. Can you imagine being able to see that?
I can
Sounds
imagine not being
horrible.
able to see very
Right, I was
much
gonna
else.
Yeah.
Like that would be all we would see. It would kind of suck.
I've thought about a universe where you can see sound waves, and that would be awesome to me.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are species that see sound waves.
I mean, at least we can see. I'm looking at your sound waves right now on this computer, which is kind of cool to see. But it'd be cool to see it without my
The
computer.
representation of such thing.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I saw somebody get a painting and a tattoo, I think, of the sound waves of their spouse saying "I love you."
There's actually a website. There's a company that they let you upload your own thing, and they'll make you plaques and posters of like they're real stylized. Like that's all they do.
Wow, what a great
It's a gift. It's a gift thing.
another
kinda
gift
cool.
for the not possible without the internet.
No. Internet and microphone. That's crazy town. I guess it'd be cool to have like a sound image recording of like your child's first sound or something,
Yeah.
like your child's first voice moment. That'd be kind of cool.
Your child's first not word.
Yeah. Yeah. First. Be interesting. I just don't know, man. What brave new world
Yeah.
that has such people in it.
Is that a quote from a book that I recently read?
I mean, that's a quote from Shakespeare, from The
Okay.
Tempest.
I think somebody else. I think Aldous Huxley also used it in his book.
He was referencing Shakespeare's The Tempest.
Yeah, we'll see. Awesome.
I'm an English teacher.
Oh, well, are you?
Yeah.
I've had 4 teachers on my podcast now for other reasons.
Nice.
Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
English teacher where?
Jinx.
Jinx, that's
Jinx
cool.
East Intermediate.
That's really cool, man. So you see firsthand the teenagers. Are you like, are you about to tell them to get off your lawn? Do you feel that way?
Nice. Never off my lawn, mostly just like off each other, like stuff like punching and hitting and just messing with
So
each other.
with technology,
Kids
not
are
that
still
much has
messing with each
changed.
other, yeah. Yeah, kids are basically the same as they were when I was a kid, just, with access to way, like, cooler toys than I ever had.
I can't imagine the school, like, having to do book reports off of, like, books and reading, like, in a library. Is that completely phased out by now? Or is
No,
that...
I mean, libraries are still a thing. It's just the ability, and you have to realize there are still a huge segment of kids who don't have access to all the digital stuff. Like 40%. America actually is the number one least digitized for the poor nation amongst Western industrialized nations. 40% of Americans don't have access to a computer. So like there's still lots of kids who are living kind of the way I grew up, which is weird to think about that in 2014. Like they don't have a smartphone, they don't have access to a laptop or even a PC at their house. So they don't have access to the internet other than when they're at school. And I mean, they're still engaged in the 21st century, but comparatively, they might as well still be in the 80s, you know?
40%, that's a lot.
That is a huge percentage.
I've talked
of
about a couple
our
times
country.
moving voting to the internet. That's not an option for quite a while.
Yeah, it will be a bit. It will be a bit before that will be possible for a lot of reasons. But yeah,
40%, that's a bunch.
that is a massive chunk of people, man. That's crazy.
It's at least 10.
Yeah, at least. Nice.
The other teachers I had I had an episode with some poets, and I love them. They perform, I think, every Monday at First Shop.
Cypher?
The
At Cypher 120, I had those
Cool.
guys and lady, and some of the stuff they talked about just completely was awesome. I don't have any other words for it. It was really cool, and they were all teachers too. And I was like, "Holy crap, this is great!" I love them.
They're great.
Yeah,
man.
never thought I'd
fun.
be
They're interesting.
hanging out with teachers on the podcast.
That's what happens, man.
Claire Collins.
Claire, she's incredible. She performed. She was on a show with me and Neil Hilborn. I guess he was a touring poet. He had one go like super viral on the internet, and all of a sudden he's famous as shit. So he was doing a tour, and it was awesome. It was such a cool show. It's my favorite show in years. It was me and Dustin Storm playing songs, and then 2 performance spoken word poets, and it was incredible how engaging
cool.
and just wonderful they were performing and making me think and stuff. I don't want to do that at a bar, but I had a good time doing it. It was fun.
It's interesting sometimes, man. That's one of the things that's cool to me about hip hop, just being able to take the beat poetry, idea and combine it with music in an interesting way.
Yeah, I'm into it. I don't know any of the references you had for all of your hip hop greats, but I should. One day I will.
Is there any rap music that you listen to that you enjoy?
Ever? It has happened, not recently.
Okay, it's been a
I did
minute.
love the Grits
Oh yeah,
back when I
remember
was
the Grits.
listening to Switchfoot.
Okay.
Same kind of.
They were like a Christian group, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember but they had a couple of mainstream hits, right?
I
or
don't
like
know.
songs that were at least played on the radio a little bit.
Very possibly.
Cool.
But other than that,
because I remember
not so
their
much.
name. I remember those guys.
I don't know. I'm not against it. I just never
Yeah.
get involved.
And one of my favorite experiences of last year, I have an old college professor who just turned 60 last year. And he was talking about, like, one day we were just chatting about something, and he was talking about rap music and how horrible it was, and how he knew this kid who had been, like, a good kid, but he started listening to rap music.
Oh, no.
And he started dressing like a thug and, like, being horrible to his girlfriend, and he just turned into this horrible person. And midway into my old professor's, like, predictably old white guy rant, like, I just said to him, I'm sorry, but you're too awesome a person for me to let you be this ignorant and like silly sounding and boring. Like
Yeah.
to be this boring and old guy. He's an awesome person. Like he's a really interesting, super intelligent, super artsy and cultured guy. It just like you had no background for hip hop music. And to make matters worse, the only times he ever heard hip hop music was like when he listened to the radio now, or when he, came upon commercial hip hop now. And commercial hip hop now is pretty horrible. Like it's pretty bad. But I mean, I think we can say, broadly speaking, a lot of commercial music right now is kind of rough. Like not all
Yeah.
commercial music by any means, but there's a lot of, Nicki Minaj just made like millions of dollars off a song called Anaconda.
Yeah.
Like, where she just talks about her butt for 7 minutes.
I think what made it famous was the video of her butt for 7 minutes.
Right.
I mean, I saw the video.
Right, there you go. But I mean, if you were 60 years old and that was your only
Reference for
experience for hip hop, you would be like, anyone who listens to this music is gonna die of stupid. Like this is horrible.
I don't know. I guess if they were really being accurate about it, they'd be like, damn that capitalism.
Man, this.
But then, most people aren't, especially if you're a 60-year-old guy, you're not necessarily going to think like that because he's not thinking about hip hop the same way he thinks about cheesy rock and roll. That's just made to make to make money, or cheesy country that's just made to make money. He's thinking about it because there was never a point where he was personally connected to hip hop. It's always been somebody else's music. So now if he sees it just to make money, that's like all he thinks it's about. Like that's the only thing that exists.
Do you think when people look at something like that and discuss, there's an element of jealousy to it? Sort of like, well, I don't have an ass like that, but if I did, I wouldn't be using it like that.
I imagine him like wanting a small piece of that person, like wanting that freedom, that just outgoing, just
to go crazy and be super, super shallow.
They don't deserve all of that money for all of that booty.
There's a few things. I actually wrote this down, and you guys reminded me. I didn't have to look at my notes, but I was watching a video that like a country station on Facebook shared today, and I was like, it just auto-played. It's like, all right, well, just listen to this for a minute. And it was two songwriters. It was a country artist talking about their new single that's coming out. And normally when I hear a musician talking about a song, they talk about like what they wrote it about and like what it's about. And this story was completely accepted with the crowd. It was like, oh, well, I was at the studio and my manager came up to me and said, there's this song that somebody just wrote that might fit my style. And I went over there and I was like, I knew I had to have that song. And it was just so weird to me. Like, do you find
it's
that
like part of
odd?
a machine?
It's like
inspiration, right?
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's like he's like, yeah, I could apply this to my life. And it was about, I don't know, it was about like women being mad at men for doing stupid things.
Nice.
I was like,
nice.
yeah. So every man has that.
Man, I spent a good portion of a month of the summer last year in Nashville. And I mean, that's just a huge part of the culture there, just selling songs. Like I had the awesome privilege of going to a pretty cool songwriters round where they just had songwriters, all just singing their songs. And I didn't know any of these people, but there were really big name songwriters there who've written hits for Vince Gill and like Garth Brooks and like big name country people. And I heard them play some of the songs. Like one of the guys played an Alan Jackson song. And it was, I say an Alan Jackson song, he played his song that Alan Jackson made famous. And it was amazing. Like he was incredible.
Yeah.
And I Googled and like looked up Alan Jackson. I was like, man, I need to check that song out because that was amazing. And the Alan Jackson version made me want to puke. Like it was horrifying. So you have this culture of amazing songwriters all over the place in Nashville. Great guitar players, great musicians writing these really interesting songs, at least the way that they perform them, just being put into a vending machine.
Yeah.
And sold to the highest bidder.
See,
it's bad news bears.
I think that's the first time I've just looked and being excited to hear what the song is about. I hadn't heard the song yet. I didn't listen to the whole song because it was so just terrible. It was really bad. And I was just like, it was so odd to me that, can you imagine if I was like playing, obviously I'm playing to a few less people than the big country stars.
Yeah.
I like that you said Garth Brooks because I've talked about him in the past 5 episodes, and I didn't even have to bring him up. You did it. So
amazing.
Take that, Terry. He called me out. He's like, I'm tired of hearing about Garth Brooks, and I was like, well, you should probably not listen to the next several podcasts because I was going to ask you while you're talking about hip hop. I was going to be like, so what do you think about the new Garth Brooks album that released like today or yesterday?
I definitely haven't listened to it yet.
I haven't heard it. The new Tom York's way cool.
Yeah, the new Tom York is very cool. I agree with that.
I agree with it.
I agree with that assessment of the
I'll
awesome
accept
Tom York.
that statement. But
on board
it
with
was
that.
odd hearing somebody talk about that, just in that,
Yeah.
just passive. Yeah, so I had nothing to do with writing this song, but it's going to make me a couple million, and I hope you guys listen to it over and over and over. It's not going to be on Spotify. Right? That's the thing happening right now.
Yeah,
How do you
it's
feel about
true.
that? I'm mixed.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of torn on
How do I
it.
feel about Spotify?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on.
country artists are pulling their albums because
Because Taylor Swift.
No, I don't. I
pulled her
totally
album.
don't blame them. As a consumer, Spotify is the shit.
yes.
As somebody that wants to make a living as a musician, Spotify kind of screws you, but it's not their fault. Like,
It's kind of the
you don't
market
have to have your
paradigm
music
that
on
exists
there.
right now.
And I mean, I wish that they would pay a little bit more fairly. There's actually a website. I might have mentioned this last time. There's a website dedicated to musicians getting checks for like 1 cent or
Yeah.
6 cents or something. We've got a few hundred streams and you get like a few cents.
Yeah.
It costs them more to mail it to you.
I think I've made like 48 cents off Spotify in the past year and a half. So if you guys want me to make 0.006 cents, just go look up the Unicorn episode by Jason Ferguson and I'll eventually have enough to pay for a taco.
Did you hear about the band last year that made the
Oh,
sleep playlist?
Yeah, I was
about it.
just about to mention that.
Yeah, that's
that was
brilliant.
amazing. They made a playlist that they had their fans just put on repeat when they were
That's
going
only
to
going to
sleep.
happen once, man.
And they
Yeah,
made,
they did
I
it.
forget, they made thousands and thousands of dollars off it, which,
I think it was
kudos
like
to them.
I think it was to fund their next album or something. How brilliant! Instead of a Kickstarter.
Super smart.
Super brilliant. Wish
How do
I
you,
thought of
let's
that.
talk about the Kickstarter craze, the GoFundMe. I see all these things, and most of them I want to fund. Like Kickstarter, a few albums. I'm like, yeah, this is a great idea. But just like anything, do you think it's gotten out of hand?
Oversaturated.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's great. I think it's taking the sort of the model of having a community, and where there are materials, people support the art community or people that are doing projects, and this is just expanding it just like the internet does. It allows for people to vote with their money about what they want to exist in the world. I think it's awesome.
What's funny is people don't realize they're already voting with their money. Like when you choose to buy or not buy, whatever you choose not to buy, you're already voting. It's nice to have something like Kickstarter that actually points that out. That says like, hey, if you like this band, if you like this music, show it like in a way that's really tangible.
My question was more about things,
Just
not,
too much
not in
bullshit.
art. Yeah, like, hey, I'm trying to move.
I mean,
you guys give me
if it works, it
$1,000?
works.
I have no problem with anyone raising money in a way that doesn't harm people on the internet any way that they want to. Like, I saw there was a girl who wanted to make some kind of pizza. Like, she had a Kickstarter to make like all of these really interesting personalized pizza, but her plan was only originally to make like 2 of them. So her original Kickstarter was like for like $10 or something, but she ended up like making so much money that she was able to like go to a pizza place, and they had like a film crew come out, and they made like hundreds of these pizzas and gave like a whole bunch of money to charity, and it was this like
That's pretty
awesome thing. Yeah.
I saw that happen with like a guy trying to order some pasta.
Yeah,
I heard about
like
that
hundreds
too.
of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Some of it's cool. My first reaction, like when Kickstarter first started, I was like, well, this is bullshit. You go work your ass off and you go make that album yourself, as I sat there without an album.
Right.
And but then I heard somebody, it was a TED Talk talking about it, and she talked about how it wasn't a donation thing. It was her crowd supporting me because this record label is shit. And I was like, oh, wow.
I mean, part of the
Is that Amanda Palmer?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Part of the nice thing about that is being able to take the power away from lawyers and accountants who don't make music, who used to make most of the money off music. Like the fact that Paul McCartney doesn't own the rights to the Beatles songs. Like, that's, I think, one of the problems that something like Kickstarter can help reverse. You know, how insane is that? Like, that Paul McCartney doesn't get money off Yesterday. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and there are lots of movements toward that. Like Tom York's new album was released. You have to torrent it. You have to basically torrent is not illegal inherently, but it is the driving mode of getting things illegally, media illegally. And Tom York is basically trying to educate people to use it so that artists can hook up with their audiences just without the middleman entirely.
Yeah, there's a 30 Seconds to Mars. Just really like Jared Leto released a documentary on Netflix. Maybe we can Google it. Heck yeah, 'cause my computer hasn't frozen. Jared Leto documentary. Just watched it, and it's awesome. Talking about, I think it's called Artifact. And they talk about the problems they had with their record label, and I think they still haven't made money from any of their album sales. Like, they haven't gotten paid.
Dude, that's crazy.
At all.
Because they've had some moderate hits.
Really successful.
Right.
Yeah, like selling out stadiums across the world.
That's so insane.
Selling almost out Brady in Tulsa. But it's pretty insane because
They haven't made money. That's nuts.
They've made money
but
other
like
ways,
meaningful
but
money
like,
off of their albums.
like
That's just crazy.
off the songs themselves. They haven't made a dime, which is insane.
That's nuts.
That's so crazy. And so at the end of the documentary, he's talking to a sold out stadium. He's like, "Who has our new album?" And everybody goes crazy. And then he's like, "Who stole that shit on the internet?" And everybody goes crazy. And he was like cool with it. It was like,
yeah,
it's like nice.
I mean, there comes a certain point when you hear about so many bands. I mean, I remember in the '90s it was a much more constant story because obviously people were still buying CDs then. But bands that had sold millions of CDs and were in debt. Like, that's just
Yeah.
crazy to me. I remember, if you remember the R&B group TLC, like, they were like one of the best examples of it because they had a platinum album. And I think at one point they were still $100,000 in debt to their record label.
Yeah.
And they realized that the deal that they'd been given was giving them like 3 cents or something like that on the dollar for every album they sold.
I don't want to take away all the reasons to watch the documentary because I just spoiled the ending
Nice.
with have you torrented this album. But they break down what all the charges were. And like when you made a CD, when you first started making CDs, there was a built-in charge, a percentage for like broken packages that ship. Wow. And like it's like a certain percentage you pay for every album to pay for the ones that break while they're shipping. And that still happens with digital media. The same percentage is taken. And like it's pretty difficult to
break an MP3.
Yes.
Like, at least on the internet.
So it was just cool to learn about that kind of stuff and blame back to Taylor Swift. As soon as I found out she pulled that, or maybe it's still on there or whatever's happening, I was like,
No, she pulled all her music from Spotify, I think the day after her album came out.
My first thought that I'm not scared to admit was, well, if I'm going to hear that, I'm going to have to steal it now.
Nice.
That was like my first, as a consumer, why it's awesome for a consumer, because I haven't had to steal music in a really, really long time. And back to Garth. We're back to Garth Brooks.
Oh, did he pull it off Spotify as well?
I don't think
it was ever there. Maybe.
It was never on the internet till this album. He just put all of his songs on his website, and you can only buy it from his website, which is
Kinda like
but
Louis
that's not
CK,
gonna. I mean,
like
that's
Louis
not gonna
CK's
last
model.
long. Like anytime somebody gets an infinitely replicatable format, they're gonna upload it. I'll bet you could find the torrent for it.
I
right
could
now.
have. I mean, you couldn't have bought it. Is what
I think the idea, though, with that isn't that I hope that, I mean, even Tom York knows that, friends are going to like share CDs with each other and just rip them. I think the idea is like Louis C.K. did this, where he put his last 2 comedy specials on his website.
Yeah.
And you could download them or stream them or whatever for a price, but that was the only place you could get them. And he knew, I think he even said, like, some people will find a way to like pirate them offline, but I don't care about that. Like, I put it on my website with the hope that my fans, like people who actually really do dig it, will pay me a little bit, like whatever they can pay. And then like it will be a way for me to control my own media. That's kind of the idea.
I think he's doing that with a bunch of other comedians as well.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
This is just me talking what I think I heard one time, maybe on a headline of an article 20 years ago. Was Garth's problem was buying singles and shuffling. He's like, no, I want you to have the album, like it's a story or whatever. Which I don't think so, because I don't think he writes a lot of his songs, which is I'm okay with because I'm a fan.
He wrote a lot of his earlier songs in the earlier years.
But I think his problem was buying a single and all that stuff and trying to, I mean, if I knew I was going to sell that many albums, I wouldn't let iTunes take 30% of it or,
let people who don't even play music take massive portions of the profit for my music. Like that, that's something that's bothersome.
The reason that I wanted to talk about it is because I was working an extra Saturday at work, working some overtime. I volunteered so I could afford to buy a ticket for his concert. So I wanted to make sure I had lots of reasons to remember why I was at work on an extra day. So I wanted to go get some Garth songs. And I haven't had them on my phone probably since I've had a phone, but I have them on a computer, and they're all just weird. It's like early, I don't know when we started torrenting music, but when you first started downloading songs, they all had weird names and there was no track listing. It's like Garth.Brook.
They have a file name.
So I was like, oh man, I'll just go download a collection real quick. And then I was like, wait, if there's anybody in music right now that's going to chase that shit, it's probably Garth. So I was scared to torrent his stuff. So
that's what he wants you to think.
Yeah, but he made it easy because you can go buy everything. If you're a Garth Brooks fanboy like myself, you can go buy every album he's ever released, plus his newest album, plus the next album for $30, which is insane. It's like 12 albums. And I was like, that's smart. I'll spend $30 so I don't have to go torrent some shit.
It's true.
Sorry, Terry.
I love that somehow We Make Shapes has like worked its way into a Garth Brooks like.
It's not hard to do on my podcast.
Something I never would have expected, but I'm okay with it. Like, interesting.
Man, I think I realized sadly as I was listening to the new album that most of my love for him was nostalgia. Was just being young, hanging out with my pops, watching Garth Brooks on the television set.
That's how I feel about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh man, loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Was all about it. Super cheesy, but yeah. I think there's lots of things like that. Like I feel like because I'm with like 11 and 12-year-olds at work all the time, sometimes I'm really appreciative for stupid music because not stupid music like Anaconda or something, but I mean like older Taylor Swift and just silly teenage angsty stuff or just poppy teenage stuff because they're still babies. Like,
Yeah.
they don't need music that's filled with like ambivalence and like deep satire and irony and sarcasm and sadness. I mean, some kids I guess do, but like the vast majority
Give them some Elliott Smith.
Right, the vast majority of 11-year-olds would not be healthy if they were listening to Elliott Smith all the time. Like, it wouldn't be an appropriate thing.
Yeah, I was. Look how I turned out.
Yeah.
I've always tried to have not always, more recently, try to have the view that if somebody enjoys it, it's good music. Like, if somebody's buying Bieber's albums and
I don't know if
enjoying
I'd
the
say
shit,
it was good.
But
it's performing its function.
It's a
If someone's
postmodern way of
enjoying
looking at
it,
things.
If someone's enjoying it, it is definitely
it's doing
performing
its
its
thing.
function.
Insane Clown Posse has a following, and somebody thinks it's good, so we don't have the right to say it's not.
Fago's good though. The
We just
soda's
don't want
great.
to keep the word good away from
Yeah,
it.
well,
but,
it's just a matter of
but it's performing its function.
saying it objectively.
It's
Man.
doing what it should be doing.
I think I don't know if I performed. My band may have performed a long time ago. We were kind of trying to be a metal hardcore band because I was that age and that phase. So I was either attending or performing at this, like, they wanted to mix screamo bands with juggalo bands with, I think we considered rap rock,
Right.
and they wanted to like mix the two scenes together, and it was the most insane show I've ever been to because, like, I'm a nice person. I watched them perform, but like as I tried to mingle with the crowd and talk to people and just be a person, they're like, "Fuck you, dude!" Like, nobody would be like friendly
Cool
to me
with each other.
because I probably had an emo haircut. You know what I mean?
Screw
And it
you,
was-
we
it
were
was
juggalos.
So weird, such a weird.
Where's your
like,
clown makeup,
environment?
man?
Yeah,
Where's your clown makeup?
even outside, I remember talking to people, "Hey, what's up, man?" And like nobody was like, and the crowds would shift when one band would play, all of their crowd would go in, and then that crowd would walk outside, and then the juggalos would walk inside to watch their friends, and it was just such a weird.
Man,
absolutely-
you just gotta hate more.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a problem. I
crazy
can't do it, man.
I can appreciate that.
That's just a weird moment to be in. Like, oh, we can't watch your music. Our club doesn't like it
Hate is boring.
unless you're a news outlet.
Nice. I still find it boring.
Man, what's been your favorite times to play music as We Make Shapes? Was it Halloween playing naked? We're back to that.
That was a good show.
It was a good show. Do you have any favorite shows that you can think of in particular?
December 21st at Chimera.
I mean, I'm pretty partial to the Fassler show because I got a new pedal.
Oh,
It
nice.
sounds good. So yeah, I like tones, and yeah, it was something off my bucket list. Getting to play with my legs out
Playing
was
your undies.
nice.
I have a podcast that you just reminded me that I want to tell you about. It's called Meet the Composer. Have you heard of that yet, Nathan? Mm-mm. It's like, I think she's a violin player. I've only listened to a couple episodes, but she interviews and plays songs and talks
Interviews the composer?
like I'm talking with you with composers, and they're just explaining things, and they make it
that's awesome.
they make it to where like I could understand it. And he,
Sounds
like,
excellent.
Like one piano player was talking about one composer was talking about what he's done with like taking electric sounds and putting them into an orchestra, and he's like, we're still playing the piano, but I'm using the notes in a way that the wavelengths vibrate together and make it sound kind of electronic. And I was like, this is blowing my mind right now. And then now I want to tell you about it. It's called Meet the Composer, and very much worth
gonna check
checking
that
it out.
out.
Yeah,
Very
me
much worth
too.
checking
That
out if
sounds
you're
cool.
interested in all in learning stuffs about the musics
That sounds
Yes.
super cool.
in an oratorical format.
Oratorically.
Is it oratorically if it's coming through your headphones?
I mean, not technically, but, but sure.
But we can call it that
You can
just
say
because
auditorily since you're listening to it.
it was oratorically at one point.
It's oratorical for them to say it.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
true.
see?
They,
Done.
They are using their oratorical
happened.
ability. That is
Man,
the truth.
Too many syllables, man. I'm just thinking about dinosaurs now. It's an oratoral auditor.
I am not the mama.
And I've seen all I needed to see from that entire TV show. Thank you.
Yep,
I'm not even
yep.
going back.
You don't have to.
I kind of want to go back and watch like the weird Mario Brothers with real actors.
Oh man, that one is
That is one
Interesting.
of the weirdest movies.
Yeah.
What's crazy is there are a couple of legit actors in that movie. I think isn't John Leguizamo in that movie, and There's somebody else.
You know
There's at
how
least-
old I was when that came out?
I know, but I mean, you only saw it like I only saw that movie like on television as well.
Oh,
like,
I loved
years
that
later.
movie. That's how young I was. I loved that movie.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Wow, that's crazy town. I was
feel
just
like-
confused by it.
I think I was 8 or 9 or something.
Wow,
So I'd have been like 10 or 11, 12,
Madness.
and you would have been
Madness.
46.
Yeah.
Damon.
111. I'm like Benjamin Button.
Have you been?
Gradually
You do look pretty young.
getting younger.
Have you been here? Have you been in Tulsa the whole time? Did you move here?
I have lived a lot of places, but I've been in Tulsa since college, so for a little while.
The whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time
My
you've been
whole-
alive.
My whole life, only Tulsa. Now, I'm actually from Mississippi, if you can believe it.
I don't know why I wouldn't believe it.
I don't know. Most people, just my voice, because I don't have have a thick Southern accent or anything like that. So
Like that.
As you said it, was that on purpose? Or please tell me.
I'm like, no.
As soon as I start talking about country music, it happens. Like songs or
Yeah,
something weird happens. I can't make it happen because I'm not a good oratorical performer. But
It just peeks its way out every once in a while.
Yeah.
The Oratorosaurus.
Every once in a while, a little bit of Southern accent peeks out, but not very often. So
I went to California to play some songs once with David Castro, and a girl was really into me because of my accent, and I didn't even realize I had an accent. She's like, "Oh, you have that like nice country accent," and I was like, "That's a good thing." And that's the first time this is in San Francisco, so it'll make a little bit more sense that she was like talking about playing music and just very obviously flirting with me with a date. It was awesome. I'm not talking shit on this. It was incredible. And she said to me, "I'm really good at the skin flute,"
Whoa.
which is like a really gross thing for a guy to say. But I was like, the girl, is that real? Like, was she offering to play it in real life? Is this a real thing? And then I left because, I was busy, and she had a date there, which is even weirder.
I would have been frightened by the combination of a date and the skin flute reference.
Yeah, but
it's too far.
Can you believe
I
it's
feel
real though? It was real.
I mean,
it really
that's
happened.
that's a real thing. I don't disagree with you. There's some crazy people in the world.
I like to call her awesome. I think she's awesome. She's one of my favorite people on the planet.
She might be crazy awesome, but she's still crazy. If you just met her and she offered to play the skin flute,
But I was playing
she's
songs.
a little crazy.
But you're not.
She wanted to be a backup member.
She
in your
wasn't
band to
seeing
play
me in
sing-
the basement in Tulsa. She was seeing me on tour playing music at the Hard Rock with like a rock star.
There you go, dude.
It was a good night. It was a really good night.
What if she actually has a really fucked up looking flute?
What if that's like a thing we just haven't heard about in Oklahoma yet? It's like SIKN.
That's the saddest
It's like
instrument.
it's covered in leather. It's a leather flute.
Dude, let's steal a video from YouTube. I'm loving this. I can't play it.
I'm like, wait, a video of a leather flute? What's
No.
happening? What's gonna
There's like a
happen
new
right now?
acoustic instrument. I'm gonna find it.
I'm scared that the skin flute
Wait, are you-
inspired you to Google.
Are you looking for that guitar-ish thing that you just tap?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Wait, like a dulcimer?
It's similar to a dulcimer. It's set up where you have your strings and you have your frets, but it lays out flat. But you use your fingers and you tap the notes that you want.
Huh.
Harmonically, it has a whole lot of capabilities, and you can bend it and do
Does
all
it
kinds of cool
sound
stuff.
like a guitar? Or
It sounds like a guitar being tapped. So, but I don't know. The thing is,
The thing I'm talking about is like huge. It has some weird thing that goes to 2 points and it meets like a big triangle, and it's like 6 feet.
whoa, is it like an electronic instrument?
It's called a Yay Bahar. Yaybahar. I'm gonna find out how to play it here. I might have to cut out some stalling time
Nice.
in the editing process, but I'm gonna search Yay Bahar.
Yay,
By
Bahar.
I'm not even gonna try to say the dude's name. It's not American.
I was gonna say,
he's not from America.
That does not sound like it came from Texas. The Yebahar. The Yebahar from Fort Wayne, Missouri. Like, that doesn't seem like a thing.
Have you ever learned what a drug was called because somebody was asking you if you had any? I think I was at a bar on like 15th and something, and they're like, "You got any yay, man?" And I was about to play, and I was like, "Excuse me?" And he was a little bit fidgety, and he's like, "You got any yay?" And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about, bro." I mean,
See, in a situation like that, I'd always say maybe.
is this a yay or nay thing?
Maybe.
let's play this thing.
I'll have to search my car in a
If
moment.
you guys would like to see this instrument, you have to search Yay Bahar. And I'll show you guys the video. I might have to come closer.
Oh, excuse me.
It's a guy hitting some thing with a mallet, and it's making the craziest cool sound.
I feel like we should get you one of these, Nathan.
Yeah. Maybe play it in my undies.
So it's like a percussion instrument.
It's
Interesting.
a mixture
kind
of all things wonderful. That's all I make people listen to.
Nice. Does he say where he's from?
No, he calls it. It says a new acoustic instrument that creates sounds like a digital synthesizer. Yay, Bahar. I'll see if the dude's from.
Cool.
It is a little
I'd kinda like
Istanbul.
That's
I think
interesting.
before I get that,
Istanbul.
I'd still like to get a hung drum.
Yeah.
Istanbul.
You know what
How's
those
that
are?
pronounced? What is it?
A hung drum. It's spelled like hang drum. But have you ever seen one of those?
Nope.
It's a cylindrical sort of drum, and it sits in your lap, and each place that you hit it has a different pitch. It sounds really
wow.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's
it's got a
interesting.
really
Yeah.
good tone to it. They're expensive though. There are schematics to make one out of a propane tank, and
Oh,
I
crazy.
was
Nice.
gonna do it at one point, and it kind of fell through.
I'm scared to cut into a propane tank, even if it's been really
empty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be a
empty.
little
Still
nervous
tank.
still. I'd want to do that with an assistant.
When this is like the 1 year anniversary of me becoming obsessed with teepees and building a teepee. Like it was on my time hop. Like this week was like the week this week 1 year ago I was
You were
obsessed with
obsessed with
teepees.
teepees?
Yeah, so it was like we can go wish the teepee out there 1 year anniversary of living.
Where did this teepee obsession come from? Because that's a remarkably arbitrary obsession.
It's beautiful.
I'm not anti.
Said the musician.
I'm not anti teepees. I'm just saying.
Says the teacher. Who needs that? I'm just kidding.
It's just pretty random, man.
Yeah, well, I was looking up, like, my girlfriend and I were looking up, like, getaways for a weekend, and somebody around here has teepees you can rent out, but it's like $200 a night or something. Yeah. And I was like, well, how much would it cost just to make my own damn teepee? And I spent way less than $200. It's not made out of canvas, though.
Okay.
I cut up an old tent to make the outside of it, and one day I was going to order a canvas, but the outside of the tent worked so great that I never ordered the canvas.
Okay.
How did I get let into teepees?
So it's like a tent pea.
Yes.
Okay.
Shaped like a teepee, though.
Well, you were saying 1 year ago today is the anniversary.
Yeah. But how did I get onto that?
I don't know, man. We were talking about Istanbul and digital instruments made of wood.
And you were talking about hand drums.
Propane tanks?
Oh,
Propane
yes.
tank.
When I did that, I cut, like at work, we have big methyl MEK, I can't even say the words, but like really flammable, explosive chemical cans. We had a bunch of them out back, and I cut that up to make a sweet, like, wood stove
Dude,
for the
maybe
teepee.
he's the
Cool.
person who should work with you on the propane tank.
Yeah,
If you're
I'll just
cutting up
drop a
explosive
propane tank off in
things.
your basement and
Yeah.
just let you handle
I would
it.
have to take it to work, and we got new bosses, so like they probably
They're
wouldn't
not
be
okay with you
probably not
cutting
okay with
into
me.
explosive.
cutting explosives and stuff.
These bosses.
But yeah, I cut one of those cans, and I made a wood stove for the teepee. Used them both once, and I still have them both. 1 year ago, I was cutting into explosives.
That's awesome.
That took us a while to do
Scary.
I
that.
don't know. I'm sure we could work something out.
Yeah,
My childhood with Mega Man trained me in how to handle bosses.
yeah.
Wow.
We've covered some ground tonight, boys.
But we're still in the basement.
We're still here.
Live from the basement.
I've had fun. Have you had fun?
Yeah.
December 21st is a good time to come catch you playing music.
Yeah. We're also playing November 22nd at the Yeti, and November 28th at the Sound Pony with Oil House, actually, on
Nice.
Black Friday.
I think I
Be
know.
nice.
Maybe I know Oil Boom.
You probably have seen some of the Oil House guys. They're like a hip hop collective around town. Algebra, Verse, Mike D, Suron. I'm gonna forget some people. I'm gonna feel bad, but there's a Dr. Freeman, and we've actually done a few things with Dr. Freeman, Verse.
We're going to get them to join us for some songs there,
do a
yeah?
whole
That'd be
bunch
awesome.
of songs with us. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Probably be like about a half hip hop show for us, and then full hip hop show for them.
I just remembered that I want to check out Young Verse's new video.
Ah, yeah.
And I think it's like Mario Brothers based. It's like him rapping to a Mario Brothers set or something like that.
That's pretty
It
cool.
looks cool. Yeah.
I like that.
I actually have it wrote down on a note to check it out, and it hasn't happened 2 weeks later. Yeah, so
Very cool.
if you're listening, you can't see that there's literally sticky notes all over this desk.
They're
and even on the
they're
mixer.
remarkably purple sticky notes.
Yeah, my girlfriend left them, and they became mine.
Nice.
And they became purple.
Thank you guys for joining. I really had a lot of fun.
You too, man.
Man, December 21st, 24th of November, 28th.
22nd of November and the 28th.
So I got one of them right.
22nd of November at the Yeti, 28th of November at the Sound Pony with Oil House.
If we don't happen to get a song from you for the podcast to throw on right now,
Just cut to Hanson.
just cut to Hanson.
It'll make your ratings a little bit higher.
Nice.
Man, I'm constantly watching the top charts of music podcasts just to see this one on there.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I check it probably 3 times a day.
That's
I've gone down a little bit. I'm getting a little bit less hopeful for being on the top 100. So like I check it once a week now. But there kept being like a top one. It's like Taking the Walk with Hanson, and I was like, son of a gun! Somebody out there just talking about Hanson, and their chart is way higher than mine. It's like, this is baloney.
doubt.
And like I couldn't be too jealous because I love the shit out of Hanson, but like. I finally clicked on it, and it's Hanson has a podcast, and theirs is higher than mine. That's more acceptable.
Damn that capitalism.
All right,
Love that capitalism.
it's been fun.
We can, the only thing I could think of I could do right now, I guess I could spit a little, like, verse or something if you
yeah.
want, since we've talked about hip-hop.
You want me
If
to
you want
poorly
something.
beatbox?
Oh, can you poorly beatbox? I didn't know this was a thing that could happen.
I can poorly. I mean, you
Drop,
need a
drop a little beat.
you need a kick drum, right? You need like a, and you need some
Hold on.
hi-hats.
Hold on.
Just something simple.
What if I
You
like?
need a snare drum.
Do you have a beat? Are we gonna be like 106 in the park?
What if I like turn the bass up on that mic and make it?
Live
Except I
from the
can't breathe.
basement.
I can't breathe while beatboxing.
Oh, you can't breathe? But think like you're singing. Do it like you're singing. There you go. At the end of the phrases. Pull the breath in. This is a new We Make Shapes experience. Yo, live from the basement. Church pews and funeral faces. Yo. Yo, Jason Ferguson, and I guess we make shapes. Yo, there's like 6 billion ways to die. I choose none. Watching black folks get withered like raisins up in the sun. I do this for my culture, for granddaddy's ghost, the dust soaked fingers, the sorrow choke throat. My mama singing madness of memory lane. My Mississippi pastor plastered and begging for rain because the images are stereotypical and irrelevant. Suburban soccer moms are shaking it for the hell of it, but hip hop is ours, nigga. You can't have it. About to take it back from that bitch that grabbed it. What we about to do? Yeah, yo. We about to take it back from that bitch that has it. I don't need a fucking beat to tell the truth. All them lies you sold was old news. Filling up the blocks of modern day blues. Making white America rock in my shoes. Listen to us, we don't need a fucking beat to tell the truth. All them lies you sold was old news. Filling up the blocks of modern day blues. Making white America rock in our shoes. And we out, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.